Herpes. Are you listening in? You ready?
Okay, today we have I'm David, I'm a TI, and Lorraine, unfortunately, is a TI too from Alternative Homesteading. She also has a YouTube channel named Alternative Homesteading that documents her targeting. She's come out today to tell us about her targeting and tell us her story. So Lorraine, let me start out. How long have you been targeted?
Yeah, originally I thought it was since 2012, but in hindsight, I believe it was closer to 2009 or even earlier than that.
Right. And what did you what did you experience starting out at targeting that made you think, hey, something's not right here? That made you start.
Okay. There were a lot of things going on in my house and in my feral cat colony. Just a backdrop, I have a 501c3 nonprofit called Freya's Cat Rescue since 2012, but I was caring for a feral cat colony in Manalapan, New Jersey for more than 16 years. And everything would be going fine, and then suddenly cats would show up. Healthy young cats would show up unalived. I mean, for YouTube,
Ooh,
unalived, opposed in very odd positions and stuff. I can go into that another time possibly. But what was happening was a weird deterioration in my yard. I have a 5-bedroom house at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, where in a home I lived in for 30 years as original owner. And I was renovating it, and just bizarre stuff was happening to my house. Nobody else on the block or in the neighborhood would care for their trees as I did. I literally paid a tree guy, professional tree guy, every 3 years or so to come and top off my trees, make them look pretty. My trees were suddenly falling down,
wow.
branches were breaking off. I had one that flopped over, literally was pulled up by the roots on the side of my house, but I was the only one. I was the only one on the block.
Holly had that too with her
Really,
trees.
they go after trees like nobody's business.
And she also had a cat. She came home one day and they beat her cat against the wall.
Oh
No,
my
they beat
goodness.
my cat with a baseball
Well,
bat.
they beat her cat with a baseball bat.
Oh
So
my
we know about
goodness.
the, and we feed 6 or 7 feral cats ourselves. So we love cats too. So
Yeah, you
they know
mentioned that.
Holly's an animal lover, so they know. So these cats, were they beat when they were unalived and showed up?
Oh, so many different ways. But
Wow.
I need to back up a little bit because as a 501c3 nonprofit, I was asked by a national feral cat that everybody knows them. I can't say their name. They're highly litigious, but they're located in Maryland, and I believe they have an office in California. But they were in a pinch because they rescued a bunch of feral cats and they didn't get permission to return them to the facility where the cats were located. So they reached out to the community, and I took 9 of them in. 9 of their alleged feral cats. One of them turned out to be a house cat. So during their whole TNR little process, they grabbed somebody else's house cat in the mix. I know because he kept jumping in my car, allowed all petting and stuff. But after that, they reached out because they saw my cats, they saw my colony, how well it was taken care of, and they wanted to photograph. They wanted to photograph my cats for their marketing materials. After that, all hell broke loose. Literally, it's almost like they used the photos of my cats as a hit list. And they went after every one of those cats. Don't exist anymore.
Wow.
Every cat that they photographed is gone
Wow.
in
And
horrible
they know
ways.
those cats meant a lot to you, don't they?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And also, and you know this about feral cats, this organization likes to propaganda that they're community cats. They call them community cats. No, nobody's taking care of them except people like you, people like me. But the community doesn't really want them. The community wars against them, saying, "Oh, they poop in my yard. Oh, they went into my sandbox. Oh, they eat the birds. Oh, they whatever." They talk about feral cats, but I licensed with the health department my cat colony. I was the only feral cat colony, likely in the state of New Jersey, that was registered and licensed with the health department. So everybody knew my cat colony. They hated that. The local people, they absolutely hated it. They were jealous. They were envious. The local vets would see my cats and they'd say, these look like indoor cats. They have no fleas. They're healthy. They don't look like feral cats. And they were all friendly, allowed all petting for me. And they took them out one by one on
Wow.
Christmas Day. They took Peaches, one of my most gorgeous, long-haired orange cat. They grabbed her from the colony. They took her to a driveway where I would pull in every day. They pulled her eyes out of her head
Mm,
and left her out in the pouring rain. And there were booze bottles all around her.
wow.
And I have those
Do you,
disgusting photos. It was so traumatic.
do you think your love for animals and stuff is part of the reason you're targeted, or do you have any idea why you're targeted?
I have probably 4 or 5 reasons why I believe I'm targeted. I believe I'm targeted by more than one group of people that have nominated me. I absolutely know for a fact that the local feral cat people did. One of them, her name is Maria. I have no problem saying her name. She, implicates herself by leaving voicemails on my phone. She's stolen my cats,
Mm,
stolen them. She listed them on Adopt-a-Pet. My cats on Adopt-a-Pet after I spayed them, vaccinated them, and everything, but under her friend's dog rescue's name. So I contacted her privately and I said, I think I want to adopt that cat. Can you tell me a little bit about it? And she said, oh, well, the cat was abandoned by its owner.
wow.
She was going into my colony, stealing my cats, putting them up for adoption. She did this consistently. This woman is psychotic. She is pathologically jealous of me. We share the same vet, and I caught her sticking chewing gum on my license plate. And her husband is an ex-cop.
You can't make this stuff up.
No,
Wow.
and I have proof. I have proof. I have so much proof. And the health director who has retired even confided in me as he was leaving that he absolutely knew that those groups are the ones that reported me. They would call in anonymously, and his uh health assistant or whatever would go into my colony, harass my cats early in the morning. I have her on video, which was stolen. I have the photographs. She was 9 months pregnant, smoking a cigarette, going through my cat colony at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning in the snow.
Wow.
And she was asked to do this by, I shouldn't say their name, but she actually signed out my cat from the vet, telling the vet that I couldn't afford to pay the vet bill. So yes, that was Janine with the Animal Protection League of New Jersey. She signed my cat Fluffy out of my vet saying that I could not afford the vet bill.
And you could
And they,
afford it, right?
of course,
Yeah. Wow.
I went to the vet to pick her up and she was gone. I get
Wow.
the invoice and I see that it's signed off. Janine, Animal Protection League of New Jersey. She used her official capacity to tell the vet who believed her that I
Do you
couldn't
have
pay.
any idea why they doing this to you? Why they're targeting you?
I do. I have some theories. The cat colony that I was caring for in Manalapan, New Jersey was at the Pine Brook Care Center. I worked there. During my divorce, I had to pick up additional work, and I was actually working there at night cleaning their rehab center. And I met a woman there, she was working with the autistic children and stuff, and she said, I have a secret. She said, I'm caring for these cats in the back. Could you help me because I have a back problem? So I said, sure. That's how it started with me. And she said that she hired this woman, Maria, to help her catch some of the cats to get them spayed and neutered. And then the rehab person adopted them. She took them home. And I know because she then later hired me to clean her house. And the cats were there. And one of them didn't get along with the other cat. So my mother adopted that cat. And my mother had that cat for 16 years until they blinded her cat. So these people, these evil people go after animals. And of course, they want to hit your weaknesses and stuff. But I believe that Maria, she was telling everybody it was her cat colony. She would come and steal a cat, dump cats and stuff, and tell her husband-to-be that it was her colony. She never paid a dime for food. She was using it to dump her cats there. I was wondering why my colony was growing and growing and growing. She was using it as a dumping ground and telling everybody it belonged to her. She couldn't get away with this any longer when I got my nonprofit cat rescue, Freya's Cat Rescue. And then, of course, I got a written letter from the director of the Pine Brook Care Center permitting me on their property and declaring me the caretaker, and also registering my entire colony with Manalapan Township Health Department.
So you were attached to every one of them cats, huh?
Of
I'm just trying
absolutely.
to show people, like, if you're attached to something, they try to take it from you.
Well, I'll tell you how further attached I am. So I knew that my house was going on the market for sale, right? I never intended on staying in New Jersey forever. After my daughter went off to university and stuff, my plan was to move. I wanted a rural area. I had the foresight to know what was happening in the world, and I wanted a rural area. I wanted a farm. That was my dream since you know, little. And I was not going to leave my cats behind. So I systematically trapped all of those cats with the help actually of animal control. The animal control officer knew me so well that she would go there and help me trap my cats, knowing that I was going to move. All 35 of those cats were trapped, relocated into my 5-bedroom house, and socialized. Some of them I couldn't pet for a while. And then one of them, I would actually, you see those videos on TV where, you know, the owners are dancing with their dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I trained one of the cats to dance with me, and they killed him,
Mm.
tortured him with directed energy weapons on December 10, 2018. And then the next morning, the Manalapan Police Department, and yeah, I'm going to call out Lieutenant Thomas Mansell because he's a piece of crap. He actually labeled me a terror threat for walking on my driveway. So if anybody out there thinks that I'm not targeted or have proof, I have an incident report where my perpetrator neighbor called the police on me and literally told them that I threatened her, which I did not. Told them that I cursed at her when her infant son was in the car. I didn't curse at her, but is that a crime anyway? If I did, it's not a crime. That I cursed at her with her infant in the car. Her infant was not in the car. She literally walked out of her house to harass me, instigate. You know, she was a provocateur.
Yeah.
Wasn't even living there a year. Calls the police on me. Police do not listen to anything I have to say, even handwritten stuff that I had for them. They wiped clean my security camera on the porch. I had a digital recorder. The police asked me, "Are you recording this?" I said, "Yes." They killed the battery, wiped clean, even my test on there. And then when I got a FOIA on the incident report, it was all a bunch of lies, that I provoked everything, that I harassed my neighbor, that I cursed at her with her infant son in the car, which was not. And they wrote that I was a terror threat with disorderly conduct.
Wow.
Fact. It's in writing. It's on their
So that's
incident.
another reason right there then, huh?
But that was already in 2018. This had been going on way before that. I believe in my case. So one, we've got that group of the feral cats. Now, even before that, and you know, I don't want slack from people and stuff, but I was a professional astrologer. People would come to me for counseling to understand their nativity, their birth chart. And just for the record, these criminals, the Illuminati that I call them, the Freemasons, the witches, they have your birth chart. They have
The
everybody's
natal chart, right?
the natal chart, the date,
No.
time, and place of birth. So people say, oh, I'm targeted from birth. No, you're not targeted from birth. You're watched from birth. They know your birth chart. They study this. They know what your potential is. They know what your path is. And this is why they intercepted me when I was at the
Wow.
height of my spirituality. I went back to school as an adult learner. I got my master's degree in psychology. I finished my undergraduate degree, my certified drug and alcohol counseling. I did volunteer work for 6 years at the local alcohol and drug counseling committee. I became the chairperson there for a year. I did volunteer work at Covenant House, a home for runaways. I was the intake counselor interviewing pregnant girls. I did a food kitchen thing. I would feed people during the holidays. I started narrating in my hometown for teenagers who came from homes with drug abuse. So I was very active in my community. I have 4 hypnosis certifications, certified hypno. Well, you can't say therapist anymore. You know, if you call yourself a therapist and you're not a licensed therapist, they get on your case. So I'm a certified clinical hypnotist. I'm also a Reiki master teacher. And I was a very popular professional astrologer. I taught classes. I had clients all over the world and some celebrities. So this is where we're going to go.
Wow.
A group of celebrities contacted me through their mailing list. They knew my astrology. They follow astrologers. They all have astrologers. I'm not going to say who they are, but they're all musicians. They're
Right.
not actors and actresses. They're musicians. And you would know them if I told you who they were. So they contact me through a mailing list, a spiritual mailing list. And of course I respond. I start chatting up with this guy. They're very, just so you know that they're very selective about who they get involved with, but they are involved in gang stalking. It's a game for them. It's a game. They think it's fun. They're all making money on it, and it's a revenge. And one of these they were trying to set me up with their brother that lived in another state. I can't go into all the details, but he's a professor, okay, at a university, prestigious university, neuroscience.
Wow.
Okay. So they then later introduced me to a friend of theirs who was moving from Connecticut to New Jersey. So live in person, I became friends with this person. I discovered that this woman, she was, how do I phrase it? She's brilliant. She was very smart. She was a lawyer. But for some reason, she wasn't a lawyer anymore. And I believe she was a witch. She was into astrology and all that, but she was trying to emulate me, tag along with me. And, I wanted to fit in with them. I wanted to meet these people. I then became interested in one of their friends, who coincidentally we grew up in the same area in New York. And he was, and here's another connection, a retired undercover detective.
Hmm.
Okay. So now this woman literally was trying to sabotage the relationship between he and I. And I know this because several of my friends who are psychic had stated to be very careful of this woman, that she was trying to be you. That's why she wanted to know everything about me. She wanted to be me. And then what happened was she started to undermine me. She started to borrow money from me. Now, this woman has more money than I had. I was a divorced single mom, not a lot of money, but weird stuff. Like we would be at a checkout counter and she would claim she didn't have enough money. Can I borrow a few dollars? I always thought it was odd. I would give it to her. She never gave it back. I loaned her things. She never gave them back. One of the books was a book that a friend gave me. It was like Dirty Tricks for Chicks, self-protection. And why would a married woman like her want to borrow a book like that? She never returned it. But what happened was I went to the original person, this musician, and I said, I'll just say her name. Her name is Dawn. She's been acting very bizarre towards me, and she's playing these games where she wants me to do certain things to your brother through the internet. After I confessed these things to him, they treated me as if they were gang stalkers. They started doing very bizarre things, but I didn't know at the time what gang stalking was.
Like gaslighting you, stuff like that, theater.
Yes, yes. Just treating me totally different. We ended up backing away from each other. And this is going back because I met them, let me see, 8 years, around 2002. So that's going back pretty far. That's going back 2002, 2003. It was around the time that my father died suddenly too. A lot of bizarre things. So then there's that element. I went through a very lengthy divorce. And the law firm that I hired, the woman that I hired ended up leaving the law firm, going somewhere else. I had the option of staying with the law firm, or leaving the law firm and losing my retainer fee. So I stayed with the law firm, didn't go with my lawyer, who I'd hired. And I went through 4 lawyers there. Finally, the owner of the law firm took my case. He's a criminal defense lawyer. Why is he taking my divorce case? He did absolutely nothing. 3 years later, I'm still not divorced. I spent about $54,000 and still
Wow.
no divorce, and still no, they just financially raped me. And then I reported him to the ethics committee, which is not just a bunch of lawyers that went nowhere. I was so frustrated not getting a divorce that I contacted the governor, Governor McGreevey in New Jersey at the time. Unbeknownst to me, the governor wrote a letter to the judge overseeing my case, asking why is her divorce taking so long? Well, it got back to my lawyer. He didn't like that. And then I found out that that lawyer was intentionally, deliberately postponing my divorce. And I found out because I called the clerk, the judge's clerk, the law clerk. I say, could you tell me why the judge keeps postponing our hearings? The law clerk looks it up. He says, the judge is not postponing your hearings. Your lawyer is.
Wow.
I literally was beside myself. I called the law firm, get my lawyer on the phone. I said, why are you postponing my hearings? I just need to get a divorce. And he lied. And I said, I just called the law clerk, and he told me otherwise. Well, my lawyer went ballistic on me. Literally, he went ballistic on me. And I'm thinking, this is nuts. That's when I went to the ethics board. I wanted my money back. He refused to give me my money back, refused to get me a divorce, and threatened to ruin my credit if I didn't pay.
So he's probably involved too.
I absolutely believe that he's involved. He has all the connections in the world, but so does the feral cat cartel. So do they. I think so. Some of my targeting is so egregious because of the people that have nominated me. And this is something that people don't discuss in the community. So let's say your targeting starts, let's say in 2002. And then years go by later and you get to piss off somebody else. You get to piss off your lawyer by contacting the governor. So all those years later, then your lawyer gets pissed off and says, I want to nominate her, but I am already nominated. But then he has the financial means to pay somebody. And not that those celebrities don't. Cumulatively, They probably have more money than my lawyer. Certainly more money than the feral cat cartel. And then after that, I'm renovating my house, right? My house is totally falling apart. Every renovation I do gets sabotaged. Somebody comes in and uses a heat gun on all my molding. It all starts peeling off. I clean my grout because my house is for sale. And just to make it look nicer, I renovated all of my bathrooms. My kitchen was upgraded. I had all new appliances. I had a beautiful Pella door sliding door they destroyed. Gorgeous front door that they used a heat gun on. I cleaned all the grout. Go out one day, come back, and somebody came in and sprinkled black goo. That's all I can say. It's black, it's greasy goo all over the grout.
Wow.
You couldn't even scrub it out with a toothbrush. It was that bad. And then there was one entrance to my garage where they were picking at the grout. So I fixed it. And then they'd come back and slice it. This is their Zetsung. They do a little slice here, come back a little slice there. They wanted to make it appear as if it's happening naturally.
Yep. Plausible deniability.
Yes. But I started photographing it. I photographed it after I fixed it. I'd photograph it the next day. And then I'd have this is nuts. And then I was on those calls, back in the day. I don't get on those calls anymore, the TI
Me
call.
neither. I was on them back in the day too.
Yeah, back in 2017, March 2017, I came into the community, even though I've been targeted before that. I didn't know it was
You
happening.
talking about talk shoe calls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ella fraud.
Yeah.
Ella fraud.
Ryan,
Yes.
yeah.
All those calls. And I was
Frank
on,
and all them. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I even gave testimony. I gave testimony to Ella, Frank Allen, several times. But there was somebody that called in and says, you really need to get yourself a black light and look around your house. Well, I bought a black light. I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified
Why did she say you needed a black light?
because they spray chemicals in your house that you can only
Oh,
see with black light. To the naked eye, like looking at my stuff, you can't see it. In the
yeah.
dark, get out that black light, you're gonna find this yellow drippy stuff all over your bathroom. The only way you can get it off is with bleach, like Clorox wipes, and a magic eraser. I would be up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning scrubbing walls. I just couldn't stand this stuff. And then it would come back. It appears to interact with moisture, which is why there's more of it in your bathrooms, your kitchen area. It's luminescent. So they will actually do a little dot here, a little dot there on your light switches, on your stove turn knob,
what about on the counters? It's
on
like
the
a real sticky hard and it's hard to get up, ain't it? Remember
it's
you
so
had that all over the counters. It took me hours to scrub that stuff off.
forever. And then what they're hoping, I believe, this is just a belief that it's
Was it
trans.
sticky at all?
There are two substances. One is very sticky.
Mm-hmm.
One is powdery. One is powdery. One is sticky, like goo. I call it black
Yep.
goo. One is yellow that you can only see under a black light. You can only get it off of Clorox and magic eraser. It won't even come off with a sponge. It's just incredible. And then there's one that's a white powder that interacts with moisture. I find it on my windows. I photographed it today, actually. It's on my phone. And then the black goo, these little black, greasy, greasy. And they want you to touch it. I believe it's transdermal. So of course, for years or months, you may not even be aware you're touching this. It's going through your skin, your pores. It doesn't even wash off that easily. And I believe that it's causing infections in our body. I believe it's like a mold, a fungus that's making us sick. And of course, there's the plausible deniability. Oh, it's in your house, or we don't know what it is. Um,
Yeah,
they
they got ways they can from the outside spray something and they go through your air conditioner vents. Easy.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
what happened in New Jersey? And then when it happens here, it's like, this is not a coincidence. I would walk out onto my porch in New Jersey, and there would be this sweet perfumey smell. I don't wear perfume. I'm kind of allergic to it. And it was like an aerosol, sweet perfume, always on the porch, like where my neighbors were. Because in New Jersey, unlike here, my neighbor could literally, and I've witnessed this, zoom out from his garage, run onto my porch, and run back into his garage and close it up. And that's what he would do. He would stand in a shrub on the side of his house and run onto my porch. And one time he ran onto my porch, opened up my door, which was locked, a security door with glass, and threw my cosmetics onto the floor. So
Wow.
he stole them from upstairs in my bedroom. And then I was in my yard, and he zooms out onto my porch. His name is Steve. And he only lived there for exactly precisely a year and then moved across the street, and the new perp came in, who's still living there. I call them the real estate mobbers. That's what they do. They want to real estate mob you out and then get your house from one of their cop friends. And guess who bought my house? Cop.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
they used to come in and take Holly's credit card and then they would place it right back a couple of days later and wouldn't use it or nothing. Place it back. They done that with my laptop. And then my wife, who was my handler, my laptop comes up missing for 2 weeks and I look and then 2 weeks later it shows up. I had looked everywhere in the same place where I left it. And my wife's like, maybe you didn't look there. That's the first place I looked. That's where it came up missing from. So they do stuff like that.
Yes. And a laptop is huge. You're
Yeah.
talking about like a pen or a small object. A laptop is huge. And for it to be gone for 2 weeks, you know
Yeah.
that they're going through your laptop. They might have infected it. There's probably some software on there where they can see what you're typing.
Yeah. And she had the gall to say, well, the laptop, but I knew she was in on it. I had done figured it out, but she had the gall to say the laptop's been there the whole time, probably. You just didn't look in that place.
How do you
And I'm
miss a
like, how crazy do
laptop?
you think I am? She's like, David, you're losing your mind. She was really, really gaslighting me.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, to think that somebody that close to you is doing
Every
that,
time an incident happened, she said, oh, David, you're having another PTSD attack. It's not real. It's in your head. Yeah.
that's such a betrayal. It's like such a betrayal. I have not had anything like that happen to me. In fact, my mother was on my side. She
Oh,
hired an investigator that actually pulled me aside out of my house, would not even talk in my house, and literally told me that this happens, that they know that this happens, and to not call the police anymore. I didn't listen to them though, because I had such horrific stuff that needed to be documented. But the police were not on my side. They never documented my incidences accurately. They derogatorily called me a cat lady. They said that I appeared paranoid. I'm providing you with bona fide evidence here. And an eyewitness, I had a witness with me, refused to acknowledge that, falsified the incident reports, and then never entered them into the police blotter.
imagine that. Wow.
Imagine that. But
Holly
then,
said they used to call her the crazy cat lady too.
oh, they love that. Oh, they love that. And then what
I
they
tell
did
her
is
I
they,
hired a private detective to sweep my house.
Oh yeah, she hired a private detective to sweep her house,
I made a phone call, they intercepted my phone call
and
and
they
sent
intercepted her phone call and sent
FBI.
FBI to do it.
they did
Retired
something
FBI.
similar to me. I hired a private detective to refer through friends, and I trusted it. He and I are chatting on the phone for the first time, talking about what needs to be done and stuff. The camera spins around to see his face. So I see his face. He said, "What just happened?" I said, "Somebody intercepted my phone." They wanted to see who he was. The
Right.
criminals who were in my phone turned it around. And of course, when I hired him and paid all that money, they were all watching me. They knew where he was. He never saw anything. And when he agreed to do a sweep of my house and left, he was going to come back either the next day, we're going to plan it. My house was broken into. My new deadbolts were broken into that night. They were so scared that this guy would come back and find whatever it is that they had in my house that they broke in that night.
So they got it out of the house.
Yes. I even hired a radiation expert. I mean, this is the extent that I went through. I spent so much money. People always say to me, well, why don't you get a security camera?
What'd the radiation expert say?
I kid you not. He said, your bedroom is the cleanest room in the house. He said, I didn't find anything. And it's like, they turned everything off. They have the ability to turn it off.
Yep.
And or coerce the person into not.
And they can attack you with any appliance in your house. And
Yeah.
I know this because there's been times I've turned off the air conditioner. We got portable air conditioners we fill up with water. So I turn off the air conditioner and unplug it, and my vibrations and stuff go down 30, 50%. So, but they hit you with so many different things that, you know what I'm saying? You turn the air conditioner off, they'll just hit you with something else. So
Exactly.
yeah.
You know what they do, and I noticed this in New Jersey too, like they really like refrigerators. So in New Jersey, I had a radiation detector. Of course, they stole that, bought another one, they broke that one. I had to replace it 3 times. And I would see that it would be registered off the charts, like placing it up against the refrigerator. And then a friend would come over, I would show him, and it would go down to like nothing. And what they were doing is, so, you're in your kitchen, you're near the refrigerator a lot. Like I'm near my refrigerator a lot, and you hear all these weird noises in there. They're actually, and again, this sounds nuts, but they are destroying my organic fruit and vegetables inside the refrigerator. I'll just buy them and place them inside the refrigerator, and I take them out and they'll have dents, slices, bruises. So at first I thought somebody's coming into my house and going into the refrigerator. But the more I think about it, the technology is so advanced. I think that they can actually do it with the refrigerator closed.
Yeah, and they know nobody's going to believe you. That's why they do it.
God, it sounds nuts.
Yep. But you got all them credentials you named, psychology, all that, but you're crazy. Come on now.
But I'm crazy.
And John Hall's an anesthesiologist, puts people to sleep every day and still works at the anesthesia. I've been trying to get an interview with him, but yeah, and he's telling people this stuff's real, and people put their lives in his hands all the time to be put to sleep. But we're crazy, it's just.
Well, that's a tactic that they use on me. They've been actually doing that since New Jersey. I was the type of person, I never really needed a lot of sleep. 5 hours was always more than enough for me. 6 hours was off the charts. I was never an 8 or 9 hour sleeper. Never, like even as a kid. And now like I get 3 or 4 hours of sleep because they knock me out. Literally, I'll be in the middle of typing. I'm reviewing stuff at night. I've eaten dinner, and of course it's always late because my chickens don't go in until like 10 o'clock at night. So I'm here like 11 o'clock. They will knock me out, sometimes 2 hours. And I'm sitting like where I'm sitting now. And this has got to be really bad for my hips and my back. And I'm leaning forward. I've caught myself on my cameras, just sitting there, nodded out.
They knock Holly out too. And they knock me out. So whichever one of us is up and lively, they don't want us to spend time together. So there's times they'll knock her out and I'll just be sitting here. Then she's got to go to work, or they'll knock me out and then she'll be up and then we never get to spend time together. So
that's horrible.
They can knock you out. I know you're telling the truth.
Absolutely. Well, it happened in New Jersey. My daughter was home from university and we wanted to watch a movie together. So we're watching a movie. They put me to sleep. Well,
Yep.
get this, and my daughter knows, like, I'm a light sleeper. I could even tell you a quick story about what a light sleeper I was. So my daughter says that she was trying to wake me up and she was so scared. She was yelling, "Mom, Mom, are you okay? Mom, Mom." And I finally wake up and she says, "I couldn't wake you up."
Oh, yes. That's how
It,
she is.
it
I try to wake
scared
her up
her.
and can't.
She couldn't wake me up. And I'm sitting next to my daughter and she knows, like, I'm a light sleeper, like, literally, I was a parent. I had all these cats. I would hear my cats walking and I would hear them fighting and something, or what, I would hear a noise in the house. It would wake me up. I was in a relationship with a guy years ago. He's sleeping over and I'm lying in bed and I'm a light breather. I had low body temperature, so I sleep soundly, right? I don't move when I sleep. I go to sleep in one position and I wake up in the same position. So my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, decides he thinks I'm dead. He leans over me to hear that I'm breathing, but I sense somebody hovering over me, asleep, and I wake up. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, I couldn't hear you breathing. I thought you were dead." I said, "Don't do
I
that."
tell you what. That's how
And
Holly is. She's so deep sleep, you can't get her up.
so, but the thing is, in my past life, like you've asked me that question before, like what was my life like before? Like I was a light sleeper. I always remembered my dreams. I would have precognitive dreams, like dreams that come true about people that I don't even know, like OJ Simpson. Um, I would have precognitive dreams about train crashes that would actually have happened that I wouldn't have known about because I don't watch TV. Um, and I actually remote viewed certain things, like when Allstate Insurance in Toms River, New Jersey, refused to pay my huge vandalism claim when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive in Manalapan. I actually saw from my kitchen, I actually saw him walking into the Manalapan Police Department. This is why he was a little bit late getting to my house. When he got to my house, he did not want to look at any of my evidence. He didn't want to go upstairs and look at the damage to the floors. He didn't want to look at the thumbnail, the thumb drive of the photos. And besides the fact that I had taken out an umbrella policy and I actually insured all my antiques, he denied my claim at the front door. And then when he got back to his office, he canceled my policy.
Wow.
This is while I'm selling my house. My house is listed for sale. So the Manalapan Police Department was involved not only in falsifying incident reports, setting me up, real estate mobbing me, but then contacting my insurance company to not pay the claim. And while my house is listed for sale, cancel my insurance policy. They first said that they're canceling my policy because you never told us you have a cat rescue. I said, "Excuse me, my cat rescue is insured under its own policy." Well, when that didn't work for them, because I caught them in a lie, they said that you filed too many claims. They canceled
Wow.
my policy outright. I'm in the middle of selling my house. And then in December 10, 2018, now this is a few months after the perpetrator neighbor, the provocateur, reported me to the police department that I'm a terror threat and with disorderly conduct. They medically kidnapped me. They bring a mental health worker named Tina Booth from Monmouth PESS, who was a newly hired person. I'm showing them the evidence of somebody sawing the branches off my trees, magnolia tree in front of the house. They literally took a saw to it and then burned other branches. I mean, it clearly happens. She
Uh,
claimed I filed too many police reports. And she asked me, she said, well, what's your sleep patterns like? I didn't know what this was going on about. Thomas Mantle called me in the morning, Lieutenant Thomas Mantle, who's now a captain of the Manalapan Police Department, called me in the morning. He says, hey, can we drop off a property loss statement? I said, well, you've never done that before. I filed lots of reports for vandalism. You've never sent me an incident report, a property loss statement before. He said, oh, yes, we have. I said, no, you have not. I said, I would have filled it out. I would have had a copy of it. Hours later, they pull up with Tina Booth, the police officer. His last name is Joyner. And unbeknownst to me, they had an EMS truck waiting. They broke into my house. They broke in without a warrant. They
put you in
wiped
a
my
mental
blood.
hospital?
They took me to the emergency
Oh,
room.
no, she froze up.
Central State, yes, the
I'm
emergency
gonna
room.
pause it while it's froze. When
I
she
see
gets
that it's froze.
unfroze,
Yeah, they don't want me.
Lorraine, you're froze, but I paused it. It says our internet connection is unstable.
Oh, there you go. I see you now.
Will you
Are
go
you
look
moving?
at the router and see what color it is? Hopefully they didn't,
There they go. Hi.
wow.
Now, did the recording previously stop?
Recording is still going because I
It's
said
still-
recording stop. Now it says recording in progress. So I'm hoping that I paused it when you froze. When you froze
Okay.
again, I think they're messing with it. That
They are.
figures.
They don't want this story to be told again because I'm going to
What's
call
it
them.
say on
White,
like a blue?
white.
Yeah. Okay, now you're back. So sorry
Okay.
about that, y'all. They're probably trying to mess with this little thing. So you were in the middle of talking about being medically kidnapped.
Yes, yes. So under the guise of dropping off a property loss statement, Lieutenant Thomas Mantle of the Manalapan, New Jersey Police Department sent his officer Joyner and a woman named Tina Booth. She had no identification on her, no business card, no badge. She was a stranger to me. The officer was wearing a body cam. I requested that footage. I never got it. So he was wearing a body cam. I had porch cameras that were wiped clean. Okay. Although my upstairs hardwire cameras recorded everything that was going on outside, but not on my porch. That's posted on my YouTube channel. All you have to do is type in Manalapan, and I've got a playlist for the Manalapan Police Department. The criminals at the Manalapan Police Department, what they did was they were trying to discredit me. I mean, what better way? You know, I have a master's degree in psychology, an undergraduate degree in psychology. I was a notary public in New Jersey, notary public in New York, certified drug and alcohol counseling. I have, I'm a Reiki master teacher, certified hypnotist, right? So they have to label me a cat lady, that I appear to be paranoid, and that I file too many police reports. So I asked, well, how many police reports is too many? And what is the limit? I even actually FOIA requested that. No response.
Did they take you to the hospital when they medically kidnapped you?
They took me to the emergency room of Central State Hospital. I was actually there 6 hours. Tina Booth was very upset that I was only there for 6 hours. I guess she didn't get paid enough money for me to be up there overnight. But what happened was, she broke into my house. Without a warrant, without identification. So I have a stranger breaking into my house with the assistance of Officer Joyner, who was wearing a body cam. She walks into my dining room with her little clipboard and is taking notes. And she literally diagnoses me right there. I had been in her presence for about 20 minutes, and she is diagnosing me right there. During this time, I have my mother on one phone, and I'm just going to say it flat out, an alleged targeted individual in Connecticut named Connie Robinson, who was an alleged friend of mine. She recorded the entire incident. She recorded everything. She's screaming through the phone, get out of her house. You're not authorized. You cannot be there, blah, 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 blah. I never got the recording from her. I even offered to send a friend to retrieve it from her digital recorder because she claimed that she didn't know how to get it off from her recorder.
Yeah, perp. Uh-huh.
So and then when I was moving, I called her one last time. And she told me to never call her again, yelled at me, screamed at me, blah, 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 blah. I have it on recording somewhere. I have it recorded. I also have, in case anybody knows, in case anybody thinks that Ella was just a wonderful person, I have recordings of her calling me too. And all of her nasty emails to me. Yeah. That's why I call her Ella Fraud. And you know what? It's not defamation if it's true. So
Right.
that's the way I look at it. So Connie Robinson in Connecticut recorded everything that was happening inside. My mother was speaking on one phone, Connie was on another, and she recorded it. Never got it. So what Tina Booth does is she diagnoses me right there. I said, can you tell me by what criteria you utilize to come up with that diagnosis?
What
No
diagnosis?
comment.
What diagnosis was it?
Oh, I think I'm bipolar, schizoaffective, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was all total bullshit. It was all bull crap. How do you diagnose somebody when you've met them for 20 minutes?
Right.
I have the evidence right here. My tree branches were sawed off, burned, and torn off right there. I had an X drawn on the side of my house. I have a photo on my page.
Wow. Yeah,
And
see, in Clay, well, I'm not going to say the name. And I was in Texas. These cop pulled up on me and threw me in the back of, they jumped out, threw me in the back of a car, took me to the jail. I didn't talk to nobody. They put me in a cell naked. 3 days later, and he said, come on, threw me my clothes, my phone and stuff, took me in the middle of nowhere, dropped me off. So then I'm walking down the road like 2 hours later. They come and do it again, throw me, and I'm like, what's going on? So I spent like 3 days screaming bloody murder because usually if you go to jail or something, you sign papers or something. I didn't do none of that. Then they come and say, if you sign this paper, we'll let you out. I signed the paper. They tackled me. They took me to a mental hospital in Dallas. Look, I sat in this mental hospital a whole week, didn't talk to nobody, signed papers or nothing. Then they gave me a paper that said schizophrenic and discharged me to the bridge in Dallas. No papers, didn't talk to nobody, no nurse. The whole time I was there, I was just sitting duck. Then they write schizophrenic. Yeah.
Right?
Holly, they put her to the hospital. She went to the hospital saying she wanted to be tested for poison. They commit her, and she said, well, who's committing me? You know what they told her? They gaslit the hell out of her. They told her the military done this. Now, now they were probably just saying that to mess with her, but still, that's messed up.
That's really bad. This is happening across the country.
Yeah.
Happening to younger and younger people. And historically, this is a weapon of war. This is a weapon to discredit people. So it's the abuse of psychiatry. It's psychiatric fraud. It's medical fraud. I would love to get a class action suit on everybody, targeted or not. This is happening to other people across the country. Maybe the Institute of Justice would take on a case like this where people are it's psychiatric fraud. Well, for me, what happened was I was there only for 6 hours, and it was because I was able to contact my mother. She ended up driving down. My mother was in her 80s, drives down like it was a Friday night. You know, they love to do this on the weekend, right? So that you stay over the weekend, you can't get out. Now, this is the thing. When they ended up taking me into the EMS truck. But before that, I just want to tell you what happened in my house. My driveway was swarmed with Sergeant Carey Officer Casella, Officer Joyner, an EMS worker, an EMS truck, all our tax dollars hard at work. Yeah, my $10,000 that I paid in property taxes, hard at work. It's humiliating because I lived there for 30 years. But the fact that I have the credentials that I do, not bragging, but the fact that I did, and that they did this to me is just absolutely despicable. And that my neighbors are all bought the perpetrators, that they moved in there. So I don't have medical insurance. So I didn't sign anything. I walked in there, I did not sign anything. I kept my story the same. I said, I'm here against my will. I'm here against my will. I'm here because I filed incident reports that are being fabricated by the Vanalvin Police Department. They're trying to cover it up. I said, this is a cover up. And I'm going to be home tonight. So in my mind, I knew I was going to be home that night. This is the meth. And even when I left my house, I knew I was going to be home. But before I left my house, Officer Joyner had the audacity to follow me around my house. I was not arrested. There was no warrant for my arrest. But what he said to me, he says, well, you can come voluntarily with us or involuntarily.
Wow.
Now, I'm no dummy. I knew what that meant. If I said, I'm not going with you, he would have arrested me in my house. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go with you, but I have to lock up my house. I need to use the bathroom. I need to take care of my cats. He followed me to the bathroom in my house. I went to grab my handbag. He went to grab it first. I said, don't you touch my bag. Officer Casella is at my back sliding door trying to open it when it's dead bolted shut. He's trying to shake it. I said, you trying to break my door? I needed to lock up my house. These tyrants, this is why people call them tyrants, kidnapped me from my own house for their agenda. I was home in 6 hours purely because of my mother. I don't have medical insurance, but they had the audacity to charge me an EMS fee, an emergency room fee, several
And they
other
put the
fees.
diagnosis on your record too, didn't they?
Oh, they did. That's going to be erased. And then when Lieutenant Carey, not Lieutenant, Sergeant Carey, who had his hand on his weapon on my driveway, like he was going to use it on me, calls into the hospital to make sure I'm still there. He tells the hospital that, well, she has 30 cats, but her house is clean. This is in writing. He did not give his name. He only gave his badge number. Now, all I had to do was look up his badge number to find out what piece of crap did that to me. So it was Sergeant Carey, who was on my driveway. Videotape of this event is on my channel. And because they didn't get to wipe clean those. That was a hardwire system, by the way. But they wiped clean all my porch cameras, which were Arlo. I'll just say it was Arlo. They wiped clean those. Tina Booth goes wandering off. They actually intercepted my UPS guy on the driveway. So that was mail tampering on video. It's all caught on video.
Wow.
So they did this to me. I was home in 6 hours. Tina Booth calls the next day and was furious that I was home.
Was you going during the period of time you were going through all this? Was you being stalked at all?
I'll tell you what happened. What they did was, first of all, I was starving. I had not eaten. So they make me put on a gown, take off my clothes and whatever. But I remember that from Kim Stroud, who's no longer with us, targeted person who was Baker acted also, she said that she wished that she had photographed the contents of her bag before they took it from her. So that's what I did. I asked for paper and pen. I wrote down everything that was important in my handbag, how much money I had, what I had on me. I folded it up. I stuck it in my sock. I photographed the contents of my bag. They did actually allow me to call my mother, who contacted an attorney at the time. My mother worked for a law firm for 32 years, by the way. And my mother said, well, she gets on the phone with them. She was actually on the phone with the Manalapan police before they carted me off, trying to negotiate with them. And you could see Officer Casella speaking to my mom on my home phone, my landline, on my driveway. So while I'm there, I don't have insurance. They try to bill my Medicaid. They tried. Fraud. They tried to bill it. I don't have insurance. I ended up getting a bill of over $3,000, none of which I paid. I think all of about 300 of it, I was able to get relieved through all of the letter writing and stuff, and there's still one there. But I'll get it removed at some point. They're trying to ruin your credit. It's all fraud. They drug tested me. They drug tested me. That's what they were, stealing my DNA and drug testing me. I don't smoke, drink, do drugs. I've never been diagnosed with a mental illness. At the time, I was 60 years old. You're going to diagnose me at 60 years old? You're kidding me. I eat organic food. I don't eat meat. I don't drink soda. I didn't watch TV. You know, all the things that get people into trouble. You know, don't smoke cigarettes, don't smoke weed or anything like that. Led a clean life. I was literally at the peak of my physical condition in my mid-50s, working at a local gym, and they did this to me. So they drug tested me. I didn't know they were drug testing me. I didn't find out until later when I got the invoice.
Wow.
And then when I got my medical records, because I requested all the records and all the notes and stuff, while I was there, I never met with a doctor, never met with a psychiatrist, I never met with a psychologist. I only had a nurse. That was it. My mother came, signed me out. I was home, you know, 6 hours later. And yet all this trauma-based mind control, satanic ritual abuse, they killed my cat the night before.
Mm.
And while I was gone, that police officer was still in my house and on my driveway for at least a half an hour. That's what my camera said. So they were looking for
They
stuff.
say when they take your animals or somebody close to you, it can cause deep traumatic issues. And then they pile on the trauma right after they do it. They pile on a bunch more stuff when you're going through the loss. Yeah.
What they have done to me when I moved to Kentucky, within 3 days, they stole 4 of my cats.
Wow.
Then they poisoned another one with antifreeze. I have it on video. I have it on video. Since I'm here, they have killed, poisoned, tortured 28 of my rescue cats. I'll end up crying, so I can't discuss each one of them.
Oh, well, don't worry about it. We get the
but I have videos. I have videos. I have to be really careful. You know, I don't want them to be, you know, banned on YouTube. So we're really careful, but they're there. But my Facebook page called Targeted Pets, and I just created a new YouTube channel called Targeted Pets, because somebody in our community decided to steal that name, even though, and create a podcast about it, you know, a TI show over it, knowing that I had that Facebook page for now 8 years. And another popular group, you know, the one that filed the lawsuit, they decided to write Targeted Pets on their website too. So, you know, the one thing about the targeted community, it's all a psyop.
Yep.
And they steal your ideas, my ideas. Remember, we're remote neural monitored. They're into everything. quick story that, you know those billboards that Ella had? Well, that wasn't her idea. It was my idea. I mean, I would never have had billboards with a crying woman. Like, to me, that was like pathetic. That was something that she would do. But no, I came into the community and I'm talking to another targeted person. We're conversing about this. I meet her even in person. I said, you know, I don't understand why they don't have billboards. So we start looking up the cost of billboards and stuff. And within a week, Ella announces her billboard campaign.
Wow.
It's just a coincidence. And then she has all the funding from somebody from the NIH of all places.
Wow. National Institute of Health.
Yes, where Matthew Aaron works.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's just so
Well,
amazing
she's supposed
how
to be targeted.
he could be so gainfully employed for such a
But the
long time.
bad thing about this community, and I don't understand why anybody, I guess it's narcissism or whatever. People want to go covertly and act like targeted individuals and don't even know what this life, couldn't even handle this life if it was thrown at them. Or they'll come and run psyops, you know, misinformation. It's just crazy, especially in the Facebook community. It's just insane.
Yeah, I
Then you
don't give
got
up on
targets
it.
jealous of each other. Like we're all going through the same thing. There's no
Yes.
reason to get jealous of nobody. Ugh.
Well, you know, this is human nature. This is human nature. And there are some people in the targeted community that I believe are absolutely brilliant, highly creative. And I think that they target us for these gifts that we have, and we all have different gifts. Some of us, you know, are very intellectual, some of us are very creative, some of us are psychic. Um, and just to add along that note, and this is another reason why I know that we're watched with the people that have these podcasts. So I think it was back in 2018, I get an invitation to join this psychic TI group. And I'm thinking, okay, that sounds like fun, but why me? Like, how did anybody know about me? Why would somebody select me? And
Right.
why is it such a select little group? You know, Derek Robinson started this group. And so I joined, and there was and at first it was really cool. Like, we would do some group meditations, and I would pull some angel cards and discuss the symbolism, and we talk about how we might have a group meditation and stuff like that. But then my life got really busy. I had to kind of back out a little bit. But then the name of the group switched from the psychic group to the light workers group. And then they started talking about aliens. I just totally disappeared.
Yep.
Not any part of this. And then there was a woman there who I've spoken to on the phone, who helped me a little bit, who wrote this great book. She announces on the call, she says, not everybody's here is targeted. Not everybody on this call is targeted. Not everybody on this call is psychic. So she just flat out announced it. It's like, ooh, you know, and it's like, I ended up backing out completely, and the whole group ended up dismantling at some point. But I just got a bad feel about it. You know, you go in, you're the psychic group. Why did you invite me? Like, how do you know that about me?
Right.
How would anybody know that about me? So they know everything. These people, they know everything about you. You know, they know the real targets, the high level targets, the low level, the ones that are being experimented on, you know, that are really the ones that are being experimented on, like me, they're like really on you like white on rice. They will do everything to discredit you, everything possible.
Yep. Including provide fake documentation that looks real and show it around the community. Yep.
I just want to show for the record, I don't know if you could even see this. This is my scar from my cat attack.
You think they made your cat attack you?
Oh, yeah.
They can do that.
Yeah. Well, but I don't think the scar is actually from the cat. Because YouTube took down the video of the actual wound. And it wasn't YouTube. It was reported. Nobody wants you to see what the triangle hole in my arm looked like, because that cat did not do it.
Right.
It was the laser. They used the cat as a psyop to use their laser on me because when the cat attacked my legs, it tore through with its claws, it tore through my pants, had to throw my pants away. I was wearing a sweatshirt and a compression shirt like this, long sleeves, sweatshirt on top of it. Cat lunges and bites my arm. I'm going like this to get the cat off me. And then I run. Cat actually knocked me to the ground. It was that bad. It was so traumatic because I love cats. I've been caring for feral cats for, decades. I've never had a feral cat attack me. Never. Shake the cat off. I run. I'm literally dripping in blood. I scream, blood curdling scream. So I know if I get hurt here, no one is going to come to my rescue here. But when I look, I have a perfect cut triangle in my arm that just missed my vein. I'll send you the photo. You will be shocked. I've sent it around to my mailing list and people have responded to me privately. There is no cat that can cut through those layers of clothing and not break the clothing. There was no tear in my sweatshirt, no tear in my shirt to create a perfect triangle in my arm. You would not believe what this looks like, and it's deep.
Oh, I believe you. They laser Holly too, and they do stuff to Holly. They laser holes in her face and stuff, and
Yes.
she even went to get the micro needling done,
Yeah.
and she would go to the micro needling appointment, and when she would get there, they'd be like, "Well, you got worse damage than before. How's your face getting like this?" And they even
Yeah.
documented it at the micro needling place.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Since I've moved to Kentucky, the whole shape of my face has changed. And in certain light, I have photographed it, you can see the holes. They've been targeting the lower portion of my face, and you probably can't see it, but over the last 2 days, they've given me burn marks all over my chin. They're
Yep,
not,
they do that to Holly.
I don't break out anymore. I mean, I never broke out. I had like perfect skin, and I have little burn marks all over my chin, and I've got little holes like all over the lower portion of my face. You could see them in certain light. And when you get a black light and take a photo, you can see the holes.
So you experience direct energy weapons a lot?
Okay, this is what I experience. Every morning when I wake up, my legs are vibrating from the knees down.
That's me.
Vibrating. They're hot. So I have a digital thermometer. So I'll go to sleep at night, take the temperature. It could be in the 70s, maybe 82 like last night. And I wake up, it's 96. My body is at rest. My feet should be cold. I've always had low body temperature. My body temperature is not 98.6. It's always been like 97.3. It's always been low. That's why I have the shallow breathing, low body temperature. I'm always cold, This is why I wear 3 layers of clothes and it's 90 degrees outside. It doesn't bother me. So I wake up and my body is hot. Totally hot. After 4 hours of sleep, my legs are vibrating, my feet are hot, my toenails are practically burnt off. They have gone from being in New Jersey turning yellow to the tips burning off to now I have holes in my toenails. It's not a fungus. They're literally being radiated off. I almost wasn't going to do this interview with you because for 6 weeks, they've been radiating my eyes. That my
Holly's
eyes,
too.
yeah.
I went blind.
Holly went blind in one of her eyes, and
Really?
the doctor said she didn't know, she couldn't explain what happened.
She said, "What kind of trauma have you?"
She said, "What kind of trauma have you been through?"
I almost had perfect vision a couple years ago.
And now they're doing it in another eye now. And when I first got hit in 2015, when I first got hit with weapons and they heated me up, the first 2 months after my first attack, direct energy attack, I needed glasses. Now my vision ended up getting better and I didn't need glasses no more, but I couldn't see or nothing when they first heated me up. They heated my head up really, really hot, and my vision
Yeah.
got blurry. And I was walking, and what they did was, you got the sidewalk, the grass, and the road. Well, this is the first time I experienced it. My head was heating up. I couldn't barely see. My vision was blurry. But when I would step on the grass, it would lessen a little bit. But if I stepped in the road, it would stop burning me. So they would stop attacking me. So they were trying to get me to walk in the road to get hit by a car. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because when I stepped on the sidewalk, they hit me. On the grass, they hit me. On the road, I wouldn't get hit. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. And then they ended up
And this
showing up and taking me to a
screws
mental
up
hospital.
your perception of where like a step is. They'll do that. They can control movements in your body.
Yep, they make Holly's leg jump
Yes.
constantly.
Yes, they can do that where like I'll walk around my house, which is very cluttered, very cluttered because it's so small. But I have a loft with a little ladder, to get up there. They purposely move my foot to bang into the ladder. It's like I know the ladder's there. I walk around it every day. But then they'll suddenly take my foot and like bang it, like remote bang it
Yep.
into to cause pain to my foot. And also knowing that they're doing this to my toes and my toenails and stuff. I have photos from New Jersey where they were targeting my fingernails, and my fingernails were actually hemorrhaging. I didn't know what it was called until I started showing photos, and they said, "No, your fingers are hemorrhaging." I'm also in New Jersey, and this is why I believe I'm not only targeted for all asset stripping, money grab, land grab, pet torture. I believe it's trauma-based mind control. It's MK Ultra like. They were leaving monarch butterfly wings all over my yard in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's a symbol.
Yeah. They burned the letter M in a tree. They also put a slander campaign that I was a skinny little whore to my neighbors. And then what they would do is they would drill holes in my trees, pull a branch off and stick a branch in the hole, like this phallic symbolism. My front tree, they made it look like a vagina. They actually like burned a vagina into the tree. I've got photos of all this.
Oh, I believe you. I know you do.
So this was the campaign against me in New Jersey. It was trauma-based mind control, satanic ritual abuse. I woke up with an X on my stomach. I woke up with scratches all over my back. Walking in my house, I experienced a burn across my forehead in my house. I went from one room to the other. When I get to the other room, I have a burn on my forehead, indentations on my forehead. My cats were burned.
Mm.
They blinded my mother's cat. They tore the eyes out of one of my other cats. They would lure my cats into the street and they would set up a car to intentionally hit them with a car, paralyze them. Poisoning. They would pose my cats after they killed them with energy weapons during the night while I was asleep. And one of the tactics they used in New Jersey was I would leave. They would use a garage door opener and drive into my garage, come into my house, unlock my downstairs window that I always kept locked, and come in at night downstairs while I was asleep, vandalize and harm my animals. Some of it is recorded. Sounds inside my house are recorded on the cameras.
Yeah, we actually had to turn the breaker off to the garage. So anytime we're not leaving, you gotta, because they can open that door anytime. And
Yes,
they would do it multiple times. That garage door, they would open it up all the time.
yes.
And I told Holly, before I moved in, I think that's how they were getting in and getting her comb and brush and all that stuff. And then they'd put it back.
They
Yeah.
want your hair. They want your DNA samples. So not only do they go into your garbage for all of this stuff, like they'll take something, like if you drink a soda can or a water bottle, most people don't think to clean where you drank from. You just throw it in the garbage. Well, your DNA is on there, your spit, your
Yeah.
saliva. So now, like if I drink from a bottle, I always clean the top before I throw it away. And now, you know, I tend to buy a lot of single servings, which of course costs more money, but there's a little bit less tampering, food tampering, because I open it, I drink it, where before I would open, you know, something big and, oh, I'd have it for a few days. I'm saving money, but they'd be getting in there and poisoning
Didn't you
me.
used to do that, Holly?
I used to throw all my food away every single day and replenish it on the way home, but then they started putting LSD in my wine and sent me on a trip.
Whoa, that's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
she was in her house and
They were in my house, so I would be at work and they would send me pictures on my phone of men in my house with my cats while I was sitting at my desk.
Well, that's traumatizing.
yeah. Then she got took from her, you know,
I
she
was taken from my home for 3 days, possibly 4. They put me back in my bed on a Sunday in my work dress. I woke up on a Sunday. My cats hadn't been fed. They were starving. I'd been gone for multiple days. And when I asked at work how many days was I out, they refused to answer me.
Really?
Yeah, I was
she's
implanted.
been through some
I
stuff.
have a bodysuit of implants
This
from
is
my eyes all
crazy.
the way down to my feet. So they implanted the hell out of me when they took me from my home. I had injection marks on my left arm where they injected me. They chloroformed me. They put rags over my face and took me from my home.
Well,
This is human trafficking. I'm sorry. There's, you know, we call ourselves targeted individuals and stuff. We are the result of MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, total psychological operation, human experimentation,
Yes.
personality and behavior modification. This never ended.
they took one of her kidneys out and then said, "Oh, there was no cancer. We didn't even need to take that out."
Told me they told me I had renal cell carcinoma cancer. I was going to die in 60 days or less if it hit my adrenal gland. I had another opinion. They said, you have cancer. You're going to die if you don't have it removed immediately. I had it removed and they said, whoops, no cancer.
Huh,
Isn't that amazing?
craziness.
Not only the trauma of the surgery, but stealing a body part.
Right.
Yep.
Which they probably gave to somebody else who needed it or sold it or something.
They sold it. They absolutely sold it. They sell every part of us.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, I'm curious, how did you figure out what a target individual was?
okay, well, I knew I was being stalked. I knew the weird stuff was happening. I knew somebody was coming into my house. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had a cognitive dissonance. How were my rugs getting flashed on the underneath side? But my mind was not wrapped around that somebody was coming in because I had security cameras, I had a house alarm, I, you know, had locks on windows and stuff. How was this happening? So I start searching the internet for multiple stalkers. And then I come up with gang stalking, targeted individuals. I found Ella, contacted her immediately to do a testimony, which I did. It's on my channel. Of course, she took everything down. And
Yeah.
she was spiteful that I was one of the first testimonies that she removed. Yes, I was one of the first. Fortunately, somebody mirrored it on one of their channels and I was able to copy it because you can hear what was happening you could hear my voice back in 2017 to now. And I didn't remember all the details until I listened to my testimonies again because we're continuously receiving trauma. So I knew what stalking was. I had a bona fide stalker, somebody I dated for three times that just wouldn't leave me alone, was bothering my daughter. And I filed a complaint against him. I had a restraining order. He violated it. It got to the point where I had to testify before a grand jury. And also to maintain the restraining order. But each year he took me back to have it removed. And as a targeted person, the very last time that he took me back, the judge lifted it. Everybody was shocked when that happened. As soon as the judge lifted it, that creepo contacted me again.
Wow.
The one that I had the restraining order against for all years, about 8 or 9 years. He started harassing me again.
Do you experience V2K at
No,
all?
I
Okay.
don't get B2K, but what I get is I have a very loud tinnitus. Like it's so loud that I really think that I can record it. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
that
how Holly's is.
it's so loud and I had a little bit in New Jersey, but it was the kind of tinnitus where it would start and stop. And then it would be very, very low and it would stop. Very, very low all day long, very low. When I was in transit moving here, it stopped completely. My health got back to its perfect normal self. All my hair grew back. My eyesight went totally back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
For the 6 weeks that I was living in my car from New Jersey to Kentucky. As soon as I moved into this house, which was delivered like 2 months later, it started all over again. So no, I don't get B2K. The tinnitus is extremely loud. I get put to sleep every day. It could even be now. It could even be. I was on the phone talking to somebody in New Jersey, and they put me to sleep while I was on the phone having a conversation. The guy on the other end is yelling at me, Lorraine, Lorraine, Lorraine. It's like they're putting me to sleep now. Like this is so embarrassing.
Have they ever sent a honeypot after you to try to?
I believe the honeypot was that cat. I mean, I know this sounds bizarre. I called at first I called him Squeak because he was so cute. He rubbed up against my legs. He let me cut his nails the day before he attacked me, brushed him. And then renamed him Lucifer. I believe that the cats are part of the honeypot because they know that I'm sympathetic. I'm going to bring them in. Some of these cats, I believe, are microchipped. I believe they have hidden cameras in their eyes.
Oh, I've seen videos where they put cameras in cats' eyes. Yeah,
Yes,
there's
I,
videos on YouTube where it's actually happened.
yes. I believe they did this to my cat Popcorn because I have photos of him before and after they surgically did something to his eye as a kitten. And they get to watch him roaming around the neighborhood. I think this is how they were able to shoot my other cat because they knew where he was and they were able to shoot him.
Well, you know, they could have made that cat bite you too.
I believe they did.
Yeah, they can make animals act out
Yes.
in rage.
Oh, he was possessed. I've never seen anything like this. He went from being a cat to being a vicious, I can't even say animal, but he was so vicious. It's like he was a demon. He was
Yeah.
like demon possessed. I think
Did you see that video of that rat on my YouTube? It's a short video, and they make this rat. They make this rat. There's a bug in there with him, and he's all peaceful. And then they hit this rat with a frequency, and he starts attacking the bug. Yeah, it's a short video on my
I didn't
YouTube.
see that one.
Yeah, showing that they can make people be aggressive when they want to.
Yes. I believe they can do it to us. I believe that they deliberately, I'm not an aggressive person. Like even in my past life, I wasn't all that assertive most of the time. Like I was more quiet. I was extremely private. Like even how girls, Holly, sometimes you talk about your guys to your girlfriends and stuff. I never did that stuff. Like my friends would get on my case because I was dating a younger guy. Like, he's a boy toy. It's like, no, he's not a boy toy. you know, and I never talk about. It's very private about my personal life, my boyfriends, my
Holly's
romantic
very
life.
private. Holly's the same way. She's very
Very
private.
private, very, very private. Nobody's business. I didn't talk about my daughter. My daughter's wonderful. I didn't talk about all these other things. It's nobody's business.
Now,
You know how jealous and envious and backstabbing people can be. My mother
yeah,
taught
that's
me
why
that.
you don't talk about your stuff because they'll destroy it. If you talk
Yes,
about anything good going on with you, it's going to get destroyed. Yeah.
especially for targeted people. And this actually happened. So in one of my videos, I'm showing my beautiful little buff Orpington, my little orange hen. and her 4 black babies. Okay, her 4 black babies posted online. Literally within days they stole her, leaving the 4 babies behind.
Wow.
This is the 3rd time they've done this where I've posted a video of the mama and the babies and they've stolen the mama.
Mm,
So I've even had people comment to me, don't post photos of your animals anymore. Just don't do it.
right.
But that's part of the charm of having a farm and a homestead. You want people to know that this is what it's like. You know, I'm raising chickens. I've got guineas. I have, they produce eggs and I garden. They've torn down 3 of my greenhouses. 3.
Wow.
You know how expensive that is?
Very. Oh yeah, a targeted friend was asking me the other day, and I said, well, the last time I seen him, he was at Lorraine's. Was Jeff? Is he doing
Oh,
okay?
Jeff, I don't know. I don't want to
Okay.
talk about people, but he was here for about,
Yeah, I seen him on your videos. That's why I was
yeah,
wondering. Nobody's heard
yeah.
from him. We're all wondering if he's okay.
Well, he comes and goes because he's like in an RV now,
Yeah.
and sometimes he doesn't get a good hookup. Sometimes he can't get what do you call it? A Wi-Fi transmission.
Oh, okay.
And I think he dropped one of his cameras once. They've been interfering with his stuff. But yeah, he was here for about 3 or 4 weeks. And they targeted him while he was here. I gave him food and stuff. And they went into his RV. They tore up his sheets. And the food that I gave him, they threw it outside on the floor. Yeah. And then while he was here, he was so kind to tear up all the weeds that they created in where my garden beds are. After he left, these criminals came back and planted weeds everywhere, like so pernicious, so like it's not natural. It's just you don't get weeds like this. Like I've been gardening my whole life, since I'm a
Right.
kid. It doesn't happen like this. And especially stuff that was growing there, it doesn't grow anywhere else on my property. Like somebody brought it here. So yeah, so he was here during that time. They did target him while he was here. They were harassing him. But there was a bizarre interaction a few times about something that he wanted to do here. And then he actually picked up and left in the middle of the night. He didn't say goodbye. He left me a note. And I believe that we're all controlled in different ways. That's the only way I'm going to put
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm not saying he's not targeted. He definitely is. The sheriff's department followed him into town. Okay.
Hmm.
He went into town to buy food for himself. He asked me what I wanted. I said, could you get me some bananas and I don't know, some other fruit? Sure. He said, I'll pay for it. He goes and gets bananas. While he's in the parking lot, his dog is doing a wee. The sheriff's department pulls up and parks right there. His RV, because it's huge, it's like on the other side of the lot where he could be parked. He goes in to buy food and comes out. And he had already bought the bananas for me. They're in the RV. Somebody went into his RV and slashed the bananas, unbeknownst to him. He comes back home, hands me the bag. I open it up. I said, the bananas are slashed. He does a double take. Like, how did that happen? While
Wow.
he's in there, somebody went into his RV, slashed the bananas, and the sheriff's car is right there. I live in a town of less than 800 people. I mean, it's one thing. Manalapan has like 30, 40 cops. Like they could be everywhere. But here, to have some cop car show up at the local grocery store when you only have 8 of them, you only have 7 of them or 6 of them
Right.
in the whole town, but they always manage to show up. They follow me. They're always showing up somewhere. Like, come on.
Have they messed with her car?
Have they messed with your car? Holly wants to know if
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in New Jersey. I purchased brand new tires. They stuck nails in them.
Wow.
Brand new tires. Stuck nails in my car. They went into my car and etched. They use a lot of symbols on me. And it could be because I'm an astrologer and I've studied symbols, I know what they are and stuff. Or I also believe that the symbols belong to a person. You know, narcissists, they want to take credit for their nasty work. So they have to put their little signature in it.
Right.
And sometimes you can't see them without a magnifying glass. So
And they sliced Holly's steering wheel.
Well, they put a bomb on
yes,
my car and blew it up while I was driving.
Yeah, they blew up her front end of her car while she was driving.
that's disgusting.
The whole front end, like there's pictures of it and everything.
Cement
That's
all over it.
disgusting.
I
Yeah,
almost
what they
got a heart attack while I was driving.
That's horrible. I mean, I've heard horror stories about
The
TIs.
wrecker even said, I don't understand what happened here.
He said, I've never seen anything like this ever.
That's exactly what they all say. That's what they said when I bring my cats into the vet. They don't know what's wrong with my cats. I've never seen anything like this before. I have no diagnosis.
Wow.
So, yeah, so they use the symbol, the mathematical symbol pi. It looks like a little, like a,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
they
3.14.
etched that. Yes, yes. So they etched that in my dashboard. They sliced my mats, you know, the rubber mats that are very expensive. They sliced my mats. They dirty up the inside of my car. They throw bugs. They throw insects in the car. They scratch the outside of my car. Like they scratch it. Like my car is just parked here. They've scratched the front, the back, the sides of the car, but I don't drive it a lot. But every time I go into town and come back, I have another scratch on it. So somebody is scratching my car. You know, again, the tires, they put holes in the tires. Oh, they love to drain my car battery. I've had AAA here, I don't know, since I'm living here, probably 10 times
Wow.
because they keep draining my battery.
They used to do that in the morning.
I know.
I
They did
got
it
two more questions for you,
Yes.
and then I'm just going to see if you want to say anything.
Yes,
So
yes,
you live alone, right? On a
I do.
farm. How do
I
you cope? How do you cope with being targeted? You know, if there's target individuals watching, you know, that
Yeah.
are new, that are one, you know, because that's pretty brave out there by your, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it is part of my personality. Part of my personality is I don't negotiate with bullies. Okay, I'll just say it. Like even when I was young, I don't negotiate with bullies. I'm not going to let you take advantage of me. I'm going to speak out. I still have friends. I still have family members that I speak to that believe me. My brother is targeted. I believe my father was targeted. He worked for IBM in the International Research Department. They stole his intellectual property. They stole his ideas. My brother gets V2K, who's 2 years younger than me. I didn't know what it was until I didn't know that he was targeted until 2.5 years ago. I just thought because he's a pothead, you know, and he is, that, you know, he has a marijuana psychosis from time to time, which is a thing. You smoke too much pot, you start to disassociate, you hallucinate and stuff. And all these years that he was telling my mother and I that he gets zapped at night, he really was getting zapped at night. So he turns off the electricity in his house now, turns off the circuit breakers and stuff, but he told me that he gets V2K. And he said that he feels that he became targeted when we have a cop in our family, wanted a promotion and got my brother in the program. Whether or not that's part of my targeting, I don't know. I have nothing to do with that family. But the way I cope is I'm busy all the time. I have all these animals to take care of. It takes up a lot of my time. So
Multitasking throws remote neural monitoring off too.
I am a professional multitasker. I was a divorced single mom. I had my own business. I was driving my daughter back and forth to the Brownies, the Daisies, the Girl Scouts. What else did she do? Soccer, ballet, gymnastics. My daughter was a talented, intellectually talented. So I drove her back and forth to, you know, to get tested. her spatial testing, her abilities and stuff like that. She was even in a documentary because of, she would dream about dead people, just like that movie, when she was really little, but she has no memory of that now. So we've got a
What was
thread.
it, like a NDE documentary, near death experience documentary?
No, it was a documentary for indigo children.
Okay, I know about yeah, I know about
Indigo
indigo
children.
children.
So
Yeah.
I was contacted by, he's a professional astrologer, but he's also has a whole team of film production. And I was actually in a documentary also. Um, so he interviewed me and my daughter on my property, whole film crew and everything. And it was on indigo children and the things that they perceive. And my daughter hated every minute of it, but she would have dreams as a child. She would dream about dead people. She didn't know them. It wasn't like it was grandpa or grandma, and they would be waking her up in her sleep. And then it stopped. So she has no memory of it now. She has no memory of it, 10 years ago. She tells me that I'm lying, but I documented it. Like, I'm your mother. Like, I experienced all this stuff with you. Um, so I kept myself very busy. I was a divorced single mom. I had multiple businesses. I had clients. I had to drive back and forth to her university because they wouldn't allow her a car there for 2 years. So my life was very busy. But during that time, people were coming into my house. I was being set up. They were vandalizing it. So the way I deal with it is laughter and humor. I inject humor into things. I watch a lot of ridiculous videos during the day. I do waste a lot of time. Like I watch rescue videos. I watch,
Holly watches a lot of them rescue
yeah,
videos.
yeah, I watch like silly stuff. I love music videos, like the hand pan that I was telling you about, this Malte.
Do
And
you watch Teddy, the guy in the golden?
oh yes, Teddy.
Me and Holly love Teddy, yeah.
Yes, 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 the golden retriever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then on TikTok, I watched the singing cat, which sort of disappeared now. But I
Singing
love to
cat.
watch
You
pet
singing?
videos. Yeah, the
Yeah.
singing cat. Yeah, the singing cat. And now there's a singing dog now with his Vietnamese owner. So the owner starts singing and the dog starts howling.
Is it a beagle?
Is it a beagle?
It's not the beagle, it's a black and white dog. And the dog really looks like it loves to sing.
Wow.
Yeah, so
So
I
you
watch
keep
all
yourself
of,
busy with humor and stuff like that, huh?
yes,
Plus
yeah.
multitasking, when you got a lot to do, multitasking, redirection, quenching, stuff like that, all that stuff works to throw off the technology because you're
I've
thinking in
heard
different
that.
threads and the computer, supercomputer or whatever they got has a hard time keeping up.
Yeah, I've heard that. But even though I multitask, I mean, I am on some kind of a schedule. So I wake up, I feed the animals and stuff like that. It takes me about 2 hours. I don't do the exact same thing every morning, but pretty much the same. Um, so that's the way I deal with it. The way I deal with my neighbors is I document everything and post it online. Um,
Right.
I I recorded a cease and desist to the whole community. I know it's kind of bold, it's kind of brave, it's kind of bold, but I don't care. My life is in danger. I'm being tortured. My animals are being tortured. I'm being asset stripped. And nobody's doing anything about it. And no, I'm not going to stay quiet about it. I've written to the Attorney General of New Jersey, the Attorney General of Kentucky, the Criminal Division. I've written to the mayor. I've written to the governor, the sheriff's department, the county lawyer. And fortunately, neighborhood wars picked up my complaints about my neighbors on A&E, April 11, 2023 on A&E. Neighborhood wars. You can see my crazy ass neighbors tearing down my gate across the street with their John Deere tractor.
Wow. You were on that show, Neighborhood Wars?
I was, yes. And also Dr. Brian Artis interviewed me about the death of my mother during the 19, where they placed her on a ventilator and all those protocols, and she did not have it. She tested negative twice, but they killed her. They caused her kidneys to shut down, her liver to shut down. She suffered a heart attack, brain
Mm,
damage, and I had to make the decision to pull the plug while they tortured her in
wow.
a hospital and didn't allow visitors. So yes, and the same thing happened to Dr. Brian Artis's father-in-law.
And they
So he,
took Holly's mom, but not during that time. But guess what Holly's mom worked for? Can I tell him?
what she was,
CDC.
no,
Yep.
Yeah, she knew a little too much, and they radiated the hell out of her, and she died of cancer.
that's what they do.
Yep.
You know, my father's wife, not my mother, um, they gave her brain cancer. They didn't even have a cell phone. There was no cell phone then. They
Right.
gave her brain cancer, and then she became blind. And they both worked at IBM in the International Research Department.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got
So
one more question,
yes,
and that is, I ask everyone this in the interview, what's your advice to new target individuals? And the last question just kind of goes together. And do you ever see this program ending at all? Like, do
okay.
you think uh these lawsuits or anything are actually helping, or this is actually going to end one day? Me personally, I don't. But
I don't think it's going to end. It's too much of a money grab.
Yeah.
The way the world is now also, I think everybody's going to be targeted to a certain degree. But we have been selected, me personally, I believe it's revenge. I'm a re I'm the subject of revenge by multiple groups of people. And I believe at least one of them is paying for it. I believe at least one of them is shelling out money to have me tortured. These are malignant narcissists. So I believe that there are some targeted people that will get out of it just because um, it maybe it not maybe it's not revenge. I don't know. But I don't think it ever ends. Once you're on the list, you never get off. The ACLU, Trapped in a Black Box, has clearly indicated that once you get on a watch list, there's no method for getting off. Okay. And unless you're rich, you know, unless you're so wealthy that you can employ um, multiple attorneys, which we can't even get one lawyer, right? So I don't believe it's going to end. I believe it might end for some people. It might lessen for some people, but I don't think it's going to end entirely. Although, if we file the right lawsuits, individually or collectively, it's possible that some portion of the targeting will cease. Some portion of it. Um, the advice that I would have for newly targeted people is if you hear the testimony of people like me or people that have been targeted for a long time and it's not happening to you, don't call them a perp. Don't say that they're not targeted. Um, believe that it is a possibility. Believe that the technology exists in the military that is so advanced, you would never be able to wrap your mind around it. There's cloaking technology that exists. They can remotely perform surgery on you. If I have the ability to sometimes remote view, be sitting in my house and see somebody doing something somewhere else that is actually happening, if me, just some regular nobody, you mean to tell me that the CIA doesn't have the technology to do that? That they can't compress themselves into a little nothing and slide through the hole in your window and target you? They absolutely can. I mean, we're just energy. This is energy that they have been able to harness, like the Tesla energy, the energy at CERN. They have been able to harness electrical energy that exists in the universe, that exists within us, and use it to target people, torture people, and do the unthinkable. Do the absolute unthinkable. Like cut a perfect triangle in my forearm under the guise, the psyop that a cat did it.
Hmm.
That cat did not cut a perfect triangle in my arm.
Right.
That was done while I was being so traumatized on May Day, the high Illuminati witch holiday, May Day. May 1st is the highest Illuminati holiday. They tortured me, traumatic, satanic ritual abuse, cut a triangle, their symbol, in my arm with technology. If you see it, you will not believe it. You will not believe it. A cat did not do that. No cat. I would have had a hole, a gaping hole in my sweatshirt.
So your advice to new target individuals is basically
Okay.
keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind, research, read books about the technology. Go to David's channel, my channel. There are other targeted people out there. Robert Duncan, Bill Binney, these books. How about Covert Technological Murder, Pain Ray Beam by Renee Pittman?
Yeah, I think I got that one. I got this one. I don't know if you've ever read that one. Wow.
Yes, I have. I have read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Global Thuggery.
Closing the Gap.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Read these books. Some of these people have PhDs. Okay? I mean, I have a master's degree. What about Dr. Eric Carlstrom?
Carlstrom.
You know, his website, mind control,
Gang
satanic
stalking and mind control cults.
control.
Yeah.
He's got everything there. He's got a PhD. He's a doctor. Okay, maybe he's a doctor of geography, but he's got a PhD. These are intelligent people.
I want to interview him, by the way. I got to try to get a hold of him to try to, I want to interview him because he's very knowledgeable.
Yes, yes. And what about, oh my goodness, Sabrina Wallace.
Yeah.
Sabrina Wallace is a mind control abuse victim who is a network engineer.
Yeah. Well, they say targeted. She did a video and said targeted justice was giving her a hard time or blasting her out or something. So she stopped her whole channel, Synergy.
Yes, yes. Well,
So,
just for the record, and I can prove it, and this is not defamation or slander. Targeted justice has threatened me in writing to never contact them again.
wow.
And when I emailed them, like, why are you doing this? They sent me the stalking law, the Texas stalking law. And this is basically because I have a newsletter. I had a URL list, and it was to like about 120 people. And John Christiana, who was one of their directors, who's now in law school, had wanted everybody to know that he filed a lawsuit against them. So he gave me the URL. I just included it in my URL list, no big deal. A lot of people send me URLs. I included in the URL, sent it out to my list, no big deal. I get an email from Richard Lighthouse threatening me, never contact him or anybody else again. How dare I, blah, blah, blah. I email him back. I said, I'm just doing what I do. Don't shoot the messenger. I include other people's URLs too.
Winter Calvert.
Winter Calvert, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And don't you find it bizarre that when they filed the lawsuit, they had images of Midge Mathis? That's not her real name, by the way. It's Doris Claus. They had all her photos, and she's not part of the lawsuit.
Right.
Why would that be your evidence when she's not part of the lawsuit? That was very baffling, very confusing to me. When there are thousands of targeted people who have inextricable.
And Holly's got all kinds of burns. Like we could show all kinds of burns for Holly for evidence.
Yes.
I have,
Oh, what they did to my cats.
I have drones I have 3 military drones that hover above the house 24 hours a day. They land on my car. We have pictures of them landing on my car in the
You're
middle of the night.
kidding.
They follow me to work. They burn me through the windows at work. They burnt my neck from ear to ear so bad that I had streaks, burn streaks. I had to wear wet towels at work just
Oh
to
my
be able to
goodness.
work wrapped around my neck.
Yeah, but see, they don't see for some reason it seems like these lawsuits don't want evidence like that. Ain't that weird?
Well, that's why it wasn't a class action lawsuit. It was a select group of people, some of which I'd never heard of before.
Right.
Oh, the ones who had been in the community a long time, like on the calls and everything, were not part of the suit, except for Karen and Susan Olson, who, you know, everybody knows who they are. I mean, Susan Olson was with the old targeted justice and the new one.
No,
as
there's
a
been two different ones because I know there was targeted justice back in 2017 and 18 too.
Yes, that's the one that I had joined because they were
Okay.
the Arizona-based company and they had different set of directors. And then when that ended, they started a new targeted justice in Texas. So they went from being a public charity to a private charity. When you're a private charity, you don't have to disclose your financial means to anybody. When you're a public charity, like me, Freya's Cat Rescue, if you were to ask me how much money is donated, I would tell you, you know, by IRS law, if somebody requests in writing, like how much money do you bring in for donations? How much money do you pay for cat food? When you're a public charity, you need to disclose it if somebody asks you by IRS law
Oh, okay.
within 30 days. But when you're a private charity, you don't have to disclose that. You can be very discretionary about what you disclose.
Right. Well, do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Well, I would just like to tell newcomers or whatever, collect your evidence. Put it in multiple places, email it to trusted people, photograph. And you know what? Photograph almost everything. If you can videotape everything, all you have to do is delete it. But I have photographed stuff that I didn't know was important that became really important years later. I discovered something amazing that validated the fact that this is a satanic agenda. At least for me, it's a satanic agenda. They use witchcraft.
Yeah, and they want to. It's like they want to set the energy grid around the world into a negative energy and take
Yes,
all the love out of the world.
yes, yes. There's actually somebody that a targeted person that wrote a book called The Joy Thieves or something like that. They want to steal your joy. They don't want us vibrating higher. They want us vibrating lower. And also a video I saw recently noticed that the Schumann resonance, you know, the one where we ground ourselves in the ground that gives us life and everything, that the Schumann resonance is changing negatively.
Wow.
That's very serious.
Yeah. I think that's what they want to do is create a whole negative grid.
Yes, yes, that affects the trees, the wildlife, everything that we grow, us. So, well, they call us useless eaters. You know,
Yeah.
useless eaters.
Like they're doing any better.
But thank you so much for inviting me on here, and Holly also. And I know this is very time consuming for you, and you know,
No
I
problem.
appreciate
And
it.
I'm gonna end the interview, but hold on, stay on just one
Yeah,
second.
thank you very much.
Hold on,
Well,
I'm gonna
thank you
end
so
it, but
much.
hold on, stay on one